Hi, I'm Claire, and here is I think it's going to be my last instalment of Personal Jinx for this trip to Auckland. Senza Ben, who is still being fabulous in the UK and singing away. So I'm here today at 1919 Distillery in Auckland, and what's really exciting about this distillery is that this is one of the first gins that we made a tasting video for High Ginx. So if you go back right to the beginning of our YouTube channel, you'll see we did quite a lengthy video where we just sort of harped on, and since then we have learned to sort of tone it down a little bit and keep our videos shorter. But it was a really good one. And so I'm here with Soren.
Hello.
And so do you want to tell us a little bit about 1919 and your gin and how you came to be?
Yeah, so essentially I guess at the moment what's kind of cool is we're actually making gin in the background. So you get to see a bit behind
It's literally,
the scenes.
I have been seeing the process live, which is really exciting.
But I guess 1919, which is this guy here, is named after the year New Zealand voted down prohibition. So it's kind of important to us to pay a bit of homage to the country where we make it, because we're quite passionate Kiwis, but without slapping you in the face.
Yep.
And that's why we use sort of botanicals like New Zealand grown lemons and oranges, Otago cherries, as well as Manuka honey from the Bay of Islands.
Everybody, I mean, you're all using Manuka honey in your tea when you get sick over there in the UK, aren't you? So I know I do.
Makes it a healthy gin.
Exactly, yeah, health benefits. And I'm sure cherries are probably a super fruit or something like that as well.
It's got to be lots of good
You
stuff
know,
in
and they're
there.
from Otago, so they're all
All nice.
They're
all happy.
Yeah. So what we're going to do is I am going to taste and talk about a little bit of the... Do you call this it's just your gin, isn't it?
Yeah, so that's, I mean, originally it started as our gin. It's now classic, because it is very much a classic style gin, so you get those nice juniper notes coming through, a little bit of citrus.
And you've still got the little New Zealand on the bottom of the 9.
And that's a subtle nod to being Kiwi again, having that New Zealand in the 9.
Yep.
Although some people think it's now 1910 gin.
Well, they are just being annoying. I think it looks clearly like a 19. You know, because I think the first time I noticed that, it took me a little while to actually notice that it was in New Zealand, so I think it's very clever. So I'm going to try a little bit of this and talk about it. So, and this is not the same batch that Ben and I talked about,
no,
right?
It's
that
not.
was, so what number is this?
So I think we're batch 21 now, batch 22. So each batch is sort of maximum of 100 bottles. Some batches are down to 30 bottles. So it really just depends kind of what we're up to. Still consistently refining it and having fun as we go.
So, like earlier in the year, you get that lovely sort of the depth of the cherry smell on the nose, but you can tell it's a gin, you know, it's a gin with a background of cherries. And then you've got this delightful, warm, sort of almost oily mouthfeel. It's absolutely lovely. It's got all of your gin characters are in there, but it marries so beautifully. I know that there is honey in there, but there's nothing about this that says to me this is a sweet gin. This is a gorgeous, coherent, dry gin with that lovely, the implied sweetness of the honey and sort of the tartness and the implied sweetness of the cherries. So I think that's absolutely gorgeous.
Well, cheers.
Yeah. And also, just quickly, do you want to just tell us about your other products?
So recently we have merged with Blush Gin, so we're now all in bed together, which is kind of fun. So we've got a rhubarb gin, which I'll stick forwards. So we use New Zealand grown rhubarb. We put it in a big wooden fruit press out all the beautiful juices. So you get sort of that nice big classic gin up front, followed through by the rhubarb in the back. And because
for those of you who like a sweet gin, go for that one.
Yeah, and because we don't grow slow berries in New Zealand, we've got a classic take on what a slow gin is using a New Zealand grown berry. So we've got boysenberries from Nelson. So you sort of get those big boysenberry notes up front and then the gin in the back. So it's kind of almost smells like Tip Top ice cream.
Yeah, and if you're looking at the two Blush products, if you like a really sweet pink gin, if you're a real sweet tooth, go for the rhubarb. If you like a gin, a slow gin that's a bit more tart and a bit drier, go for the boysenberry, because that's really, really lovely. So, and what about your pink?
So we've also got our pink, which is a take on what pink gin used to be back in the 1900s. when they use bitters, so it brings out a little bit more spice from the cinnamon notes. But we've taken New Zealand grown strawberries, soaked them in alcohol, then put them back through the still and blended them in. So it's still very much a big traditional gin up front. It highlights some of the spicy notes in there with a real subtle berry finish on it. So we're back down that original pink gin route, sticking to a classic gin without any added sweeteners or sugars.
Yeah, awesome. And that's what I saw sort of running through the hoses before, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you very much for having me,
Cool.
Soren.
Thank you.
New Zealanders, get yourself some 1919. If you're in the UK, again, speak to me nicely and I might share. And at some point we'll let you know if they become available in the UK.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool.
Cheers.
Cheers.